What's going on, everyone? It's Adam Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our PGA DFS sleepers for the 2021 Charles Schwab Challenge. Before we get to that, Craig, let's take a look back at the PGA Championship. Phil Mickelson was the obvious sleeper that everyone is all over, but no, not quite. But we did talk about him a couple weeks ago. Our sleepers, mixed bag. 4 of 6 through the cut for guys 75 under.
Okay. Yeah, if you would have had Phil Mickelson as a sleeper last week, I probably would have made some jokes about what a stupid pick it was. So egg on my face. Anyone has a shot. Let's be serious.
I wouldn't be here. I would have quit. I would have won my $1 million and just gone. But I did not.
What was he 1%ish owned? So you'd have had a good shot. You got 6 of 6 in Phil. You'd have been looking pretty good.
Yeah, at 6 of 6 is just no Phil and Brooks. Follow us on Twitter, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. All that does mean a lot. This is our PGA DFS sleepers. What that means is 7,500 and below on DraftKings. Not necessarily low owned, but that's what we call a sleeper.
Yeah, I did notice that 3 of these guys here are my guys. So, I was on a bit of a cold streak, I think, with my sleeper. So nice to get 3 of 3 through for a change.
I was thinking big shots.
Big shots. Yeah. Well, and honestly, in big GPPs, that's better to do, is to take the big shots. Okay.
I'm zeroed in on this week. I got it all figured out for Colonial. I got this one. one.
Confidence.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into it. Russell Knox is the first one, 7,300 on DraftKings, 44th there. I got a couple guys at this price range, but FanDuel is all over the place. So he's 33rd on FanDuel, 9,300. So this is a DraftKings play to me. He's coming in with 3 straight top 40s, including 2 top 25s. Good recent finishes for a guy that's 7,300. His ranks over the past 6 months from Data Golf, he's 15th in strokes gained approach at plus 0.56. That is the most important stat that I'm leaning on this week. It's finding the fairway. It's finding the greens. That's exactly, if you looked at our pick show, that's exactly what all my picks do as well. And he's positive in 7 straight. That's just really good consistency, even if the other parts of his game aren't necessarily there. His approach game, his irons are locked in. Looking at his strokes gained tee to green, he's 33rd there at plus 0.62. Comparing that to FanDuel price, not great, but to DraftKings, yeah, I kind of like that. It kind of seems like a value. And then tag that on with his history at Colonial, 5 starts here. He has 4 top 25s. So he's doing way better than what he's been priced at coming in for most of these starts. Per round basis, he's gaining a stroke over the field per round in his 5 starts. So really, really good history here. He's hitting the ball well right now. It seems like a pretty good play to me on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. It's hay fever season here, and I was trying not to sneeze there for a while, so I didn't get all of what you were saying. But, Russell Knox is someone, when I was looking through the below 7,500s, before I saw who you had picks, I kind of had a star next to him. I think I like the value. I think he's kind of got that a little bit of safe form coming in and also has upside.
And if the wind blows, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, my first one here, I'm going Talor Gooch, 44th on DraftKings, 7,300, 8,800 on FanDuel. He's 45th over there, so somewhat consistent. It's a little bit, I do think there's value, long-term value. Maybe not the most momentum coming in. His 3 months strokes gained total, he's 53rd in the field at 0.32. Then you look at 12 months and 2 years, he's 0.62, 0.47 respectively, about 35th or 39th. So, the value isn't horrible in the short term. But I do think that it's that long-term value. I think he's just a little bit underpriced in this field. Yeah. So what has he done of recent? Made the cut in 7 of his last 8. So good cut-making streak. He's got 3 top 20s in that time, including a 5th at the Players. But the things that, we've sort of spoken about this course and we've danced around it and talked about it a few different ways. It's not one of these courses where people are going to make significant gains off the tee. Yeah. The biggest thing really is that you could shoot yourself in the foot off the tee by being wild with the driver. Right. Really, it's a matter of being accurate and then really gaining from that point in, whether it's on approach or around the green or putting. 100%. So what I was looking at is that if you take away off the tee and you look at approach, around the green, and putting, he's gained there in 7 of his last 8 starts. So the things that this course is going to ask of you are already the things that are more the strengths in his game. I do think that he is not necessarily the most accurate one off the tee, but I do think that he's long enough that he can be one of those club down and hit fairway types. And then the other thing with Gooch that I like him, I like the kind of just straight value, but I think he also is good at getting high into the results. There's guys where I kind of look at their upside as maybe a top 10, but Gooch could legitimately win the tournament. He's got 3 top 5s in the season, so you do see we're talking less than 20 starts. I don't know what his exactly
that's
is.
That's the wraparound season, including fall.
So that's the PGA Tour season that started in September. But I mean, it'd be less than 20 starts, and so 3 top 5s is good. It shows that when he does pop, he can get right up to the top of fields.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I thought I kind of just had this idea that Gooch was disappointing as of late, but I mean, made cuts in 7 of 8. That kind of surprised me. And then the fact that I like the fairway in kind of stat from approach to putting, positive as 7 of his last 8. So a guy that I kind of feel like I get wrong a lot, I might reconsider.
He's one of these ones, I think he has felt a little bit disappointing because he has been priced like some of those fields where he has made the cut and then been 30th or 40th. He's been priced in the mid 20s or something. So you're like, oh man, like this was kind of a poor. But for him to be priced 44th, 45th in this field, that's where I like the value a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, my second pick here, also 7,300. It's Matthew NeSmith, 44th on DraftKings, 55th on FanDuel, 8,500. So he is the exact same price as Knox, as Gooch on DraftKings, but he's $800 cheaper on FanDuel than Russell Knox. So just kind of a weird pricing on FanDuel. So I would plug him in over on FanDuel. If I'm making one lineup, he's probably going to be my sleeper over there. But Matthew NeSmith, why I like him this week? He's coming into 5 straight made cuts. That's good. The only thing is he's not popping, really only 1 top 25. Again, for 44th, we are looking for cut makers, but I would like to see a couple higher finishes. But I feel like he's been playing well and hitting the ball well. Ranks past 6 months, he's 7th strokes gain approach at plus 0.8, 21st strokes gain tee to green at plus 0.84. That 21st really kind of stands out to me as a value here on DraftKings and especially on FanDuel. Talking about hitting those greens. So looking at the PGA Tour season, this is the complete season. He is 2nd on PGA Tour in greens in regulation at 72%. I think only Colin Morikawa is above him. Maybe Zalatoris, one of those guys.
That guy's pretty good. Both those guys are pretty good. Too,
one of those guys, yeah. His one start at Colonial was in 2020 when it was kind of that stacked field. First one back after the COVID-19 break. He was 49th there, which it was a good finish for him. And his strokes gained totaled there per round was plus 0.59. I just feel like he's kind of the exact pro. We talk about Matthew NeSmith quite a bit because he is a really good ball striker. But I feel like in this course that does suit him well, especially. So I'm going to keep playing Matthew NeSmith, really.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think the thing that we know about Matthew NeSmith is that he's a good approach player. Like that is sort of what you kind of have guys that can hang their hat on one thing, and then with a NeSmith, we're hoping that his short game and his putting shows up, and so that's going to be the question mark. But his approach play gives him a high ceiling, I think. Yeah. So Doc Redman, I'm going back to it. I've been pumping Doc a lot in the fall, and then he's really fallen off the map. But we're coming off a good finish, so I'm going back to Doc Redman here. 7,200 on DraftKings, 49th there. 8,700 on FanDuel, 48th there. You look at the strokes gained total numbers, and they kind of tell the story of sort of why I had to get away from Doc Redman there for a while. Minus 0.17, 79th in the field in the last 3 months. Minus 0.42, 91st in the field in the last 6 months. And then 12 months, 2 years, we're looking at 51st in the field, 56th in the field. And you can imagine those have been dragged down so much by the more recent numbers. So his numbers further back than 6 months were quite good, and then they've really been dragged down from poor play.
Like month 9 to month 15, I'm sure was really good.
Yeah, so good. No, but I feel like I made some good bones with him in DFS through last summer and into the fall. And so this is one that I'm going back to a guy that I trusted for a while. It's an upside play coming off a top 10. He was tied for 9th at Byron Nelson. He has made 10 of the last 18 cuts on the season. That is 10 of 18 cuts on the season. I don't know why I said last. They are the last ones, but they're also all of them. He's got 3 top 10s in that time, 2 top 4s. So the thing that I'm kind of trying to point out there is even though he has been playing poorly, he pop, like when he does pop, he works his way high up on leaderboards. He's not one of these guys like the last guy I'm going to bring up here. You see him more frequently making cuts, but he probably has about, comparable top fives to Doc Redman, who has been, not playing his best golf over the last little while. Yeah. But he's more accurate off the tee than long, and in general, I think he's more accurate than long. So greens and regulation are going to be especially key for Doc Redman here. And why I say that, one of his real weaknesses, even last season when he was playing well, is his around the green game is not great. He has lost. He's in the 200ths, I think, on this season in terms of his strokes gained around the green. But last season he was, I want to say 13th in fairways hit percentage, and he was, I want to say 12th in greens in regulation. So for a guy that is not great around the greens, hitting the greens is key. So at a course like this where you can, sometimes you do have to rely on your around the green play, but you can really hit greens in regulation. That's where I think we're either going to get a good finish from Doc and he works his way high up on the leaderboard, but if he's not hitting greens, we're potentially going to see that around the green play really be his Achilles heel.
Yeah, that's a scary mix to consider with Doc Redman because, the fact that he needs to make greens to pop. That's the thing with Doc Redman, and I feel like we kind of both fell in love with this game in the fall because when he was playing well, he was popping way at the top of these leaderboards and getting great returns in DFS. And it hasn't been there recently. I'm going to dive more into his stats, per tournament stats, to consider if I'm playing him or not, but definitely a guy that has the upside in this range. So, yeah,
I would say if you don't like, because of the uncertainty and the question marks, if you don't like him as a tournament long play, he's definitely someone to think about for showdowns, because that's where he has that round where he hits a ton of greens in regulations. He can really pop on those rounds, and so I'd say if you don't like him tournament long, definitely look at him as a showdown play.
I like that. Okay, my third and final pick here. I'm going back to Tom Hoge, 6,800 on DraftKings, 70th there, 8,000 on FanDuel, 75th. He's just a high risk, high reward play. I mean, and he has been the last 8 events. So looking at his last 8 events, he has 4 missed cuts, not great, but he also has 3 top 25s. So you kind of flip a coin. Are you going to get a top 25 or a missed cut? And I'm willing to put him in a few lineups, a handful of lineups, and flip that coin. But even looking at the string of missed cuts that he has had, in 11 of his last 12 events, he has still gained strokes gained approach. So he is hitting the ball well, even though he's just kind of barely missing cuts on the number or just by a couple strokes. He's still hitting the ball well. I'm kind of going with that narrative here for Tom Hoge. 4 starts at Colonial, 3 or 4 made cuts, plus 0.32 strokes gained total per round. Pretty good for a guy in this range, but I mean, he went to school at TCU, which is like a hop, skip, and a jump away from Colonial. I've seen in quotes from, I think, a local newspaper that he's comfortable on shorter, tighter courses like Colonial is. So this is a guy that, I mean, he's playing his first tour events at this event, at this course. A guy that trying to do research, I think has more rounds at this course than just this tournament, but I feel like it's right down the street from where he went to school. So I assume he has. And with how he's hitting the ball, it's definitely a risk with taking. Again, handful line at 6,800 kind of seems like a no-brainer.
Yep. I mean, Hoge is a guy that I think we talk about somewhat frequently here. He is a high-risk, high-reward guy. I am curious to know if he was a triple jumper in university, because maybe a hop, skip, and a jump is quite a distance for him. So, yeah, just things to keep in mind.
I'm going to just branch out and think no, but maybe I'm surprised.
Hey, you never know. Some of these guys are multi-sport athletes. He could be that triple jumper that you don't suspect. Yeah. No, I like it. I think, similar somewhat to a NeSmith is that he's a good ball striker, good approach player, and it's really the high risk, high reward comes down to all the other factors, all the other aspects of his game.
Yeah.
My last one here, I'm changing it up a bit. We've been talking about a lot of these ball strikers with high upside. I'm going with an old man putter short game specialist that I think still has the upside. Brendon Todd, 7,100, 54th on DraftKings, 8,300, 63rd on FanDuel. You look at these strokes gained total numbers and you're wondering why you're not just going to plug him into every lineup, I would say. 3 months, 0.76, he's gaining 34th. That's the worst one we have. You look at 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, he's gaining his lowest number is a 0.77 strokes gained over the course of 2 years. He's 21st, 22nd over those time periods in this field in terms of strokes gained. So it just seems like a straight up value to have him at 54th in pricing or 63rd in pricing. You look at what he's done recently, made cut in 11 of his last 13 starts. It's very rare that he just is ejecting himself from tournaments. He's usually, if he's missing a cut even, it's usually close to the number. And it's just because of how good his putter is and how good his short game is. He does have a good finish here. He was 5th here in 2014. And then you look at a couple of his season-long stats. He's number 1 in fairway hit percentage. I don't like to call it driving accuracy because it's not driving accuracy. It does not take into account anything to do with how far from a center line that we're talking. It's they count the number of fairways hit and they give you a percentage. So, but he hits the most fairways as a percent of anyone on the tour so far this year. He's reliably, I would say, a top 10 guy in that year in year out since he has fixed his driver issues. And then number 3 in strokes gained putting. Can you name the 2 guys above him, Adam?
The 2 guys. Give me Bryson.
No. One of them was
McCarthy.
Oh no, you would think he would because he was number 1 last year. Louis Oosthuizen, come on, we know he's been number 1. And then Patrick Reed is actually up there this year.
Interesting.
Which is not surprising, but it's rare to see him that high. Like Patrick Reed's oftentimes a top 10, top 20 type guy. But yeah, so Brendon Todd is right up there with the best putters, and that's a fairly reliable year in, year out one too. It's not unexpected to see him up there.
Yeah, so I was just trying to do a little bit of history or dive a little bit into Brendon Todd. He missed the cut here last year, but that was his first start since 2016. So I'd be interested because it does seem kind of like a perfect course fit for him. I'm just pulling it up. It looks like he looked like he had his worst ball striking tournament really of the season last year. So probably just had an off week, but it seems like an obvious course fit for Brendon Todd.
Well, and the thing that with a Brendon Todd, there's these guys that you can look at their histories and it doesn't necessarily tell the story because, he essentially was out of golf for a while because of how bad his ball striking, specifically his driver was. Back to 2014 that's the other side of the valley of his career over there. But yeah, the other thing I think, because, I kind of presented him as a fairly safe, reliable play, but don't forget that Brendon Todd had back-to-back wins on tighter, shorter courses. And so when he does hit the ball well, we talk about these approach plays, these ball strikers, if they have the good putting week. But Brendon Todd is going to show up with the short game. If he hits the ball well, then he can be in contention.
Yeah, exactly. And it is nice to roster someone like that when you're watching Shot Tracker and be like, okay, he's got a 30-footer. I feel pretty good about this going down in 2. I feel really good about this going down.
Maybe even a chance to make it. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Crazier things have happened. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching live DFS show Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We're back to our regular time with the regular tournament. That's where we go through the entire field using the PGA DFS model that we have created. The link is below if you want to check that out. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and remember, call your shot. We didn't get anybody last week picking Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, so we need the tips from you guys. I want to hear, who's your Phil Mickelson this week?
Yeah, someone shoot your shot, plant your flag. Favorite sleeper on DraftKings, under 7,500. Thanks for watching. Good luck this week.
Yeah, see you guys next time.